routine to order. Thank you to the Titans for hosting us today at Nissan Stadium. There's a lot of activity going on, and it's good to be here. We have a full agenda, and to make things most efficient, we ask our presenters to try and keep their presentations to 10 minutes or less, give the board ample opportunity after that to ask as many questions as necessary. And if you're a presenter, please be sure to introduce yourself and remind us all who you're with, who you represent. I know most of us know each other, but there are some new faces, and we'd like to keep that on the record. As always, the appeals process of any action and decision of this board can be found on our website and on top of today's agenda. Your meeting minutes, our meeting minutes from our August 18th last board meeting are in the packet. Are there any questions, revisions?
I move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting minutes from August 18th are approved. At this time, we have our executive director's report from Monica Fognesson.
Well, good morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We've got a full house, and it's great to see everyone. You may notice that we have several board members who are out this morning and who are traveling, and we will get them caught up to speed. I would like to take a minute to recognize a special guest who's here with us today. Teresa Phillips is TSU's athletics director. She has been the director since 2002. She also served as the head women's basketball coach at TSU and at Fisk. She played basketball at Vanderbilt. And were you and Kathy teammates?
Yes.
So she and Kathy Bender.
Older than Kathy, but.
And she was also an assistant basketball coach at Vanderbilt as well. So her highlight reel is long. I know we don't have time to go into all of it, but we're glad she's here this morning. She's going to come back probably, we hope, in the next 2 or 3 months and give us a full report on TSU and a review of the Classic and some of those things. And I think this is important because we have, we have anchor tenants at both facilities. We have the Predators, we have the Titans, but we have some other tenants. And I think it's very good and very helpful for the board to have opportunities to hear from them regularly as well. As you know, Butch Spearden was with us several months ago and gave us an update on the visitor center. And we're going to try to do more of that. So we will have Teresa back, but I wanted to point her out because you need to know who she is. And if you haven't met her, then I hope that you'll introduce yourself to her. You have the agenda in front of you. In addition to our regular monthly reports, our facility reports, the board is going to be asked to consider a resolution that would authorize the authority to continue its project management contract between Metro and Commonwealth Development Group. We're going to do that so that we can hopefully engage and perform some facility assessments, both on the arena and on the stadium. You probably have either seen the news reports or you've read the articles, so we will be considering that shortly. Also, you'll see that on the agenda, which is item 9, is the Populous Exploratory Study for Bridgestone Arena. And so last month we received that study, and that was shared with us. We were running a little short on time and honestly just didn't have enough time to give the board an appropriate amount of time to ask questions and to give comments. So we have put that back on the agenda, and so if there are any questions or comments, then we would love, it's important, we want to know your thoughts. Finally, since the last meeting, we have posted the open staff positions for our department, and we've been talking about that for the last couple of months. The window for application has actually closed. It was open for about 5 to 7 days, a week. And we had 125 applications were submitted. Metro Human Resources is going through the initial vetting of the applicants now. I mean, you all are very familiar with this process. Jane Madden from Human Resources is here with us. You know her as well. And so if there are any specific questions that you have for Jane regarding the process, then she is here to answer those. Are there any questions? Then that concludes my report.
Thank you, Monica, for your report. Next up, we have the consideration of the resolution for Commonwealth Development. I believe you're going to kick
Yeah,
that
I'll
off
kick
for
this
us
off
as
too.
well.
Well, I mean, as you know, we discussed this in July, at our July meeting with Rich Riebling, and then again briefly last month. Of late, there have been several conversations about capital projects at Nissan Stadium. You know, how do we anticipate the capital needs, and then how do we fund them? How do we fund future needs? And then we also know that there are some outstanding projects that need to be funded. And so what we know is that the stadium's capital needs are outpacing what can be funded from Metro's annual $1 million contribution. The authority has asked for recommendations from Metro Finance. And so as we began the conversation, it just really became apparent that if we are going to do this efficiently, we need to understand and have a comprehensive understanding of the current condition of the facilities and the future needs of the building. So as talks continued, Venue Solutions Group was identified as a firm that really specializes in facility operations and evaluation and analysis. They have analyzed and evaluated and worked with many professional and collegiate sports facilities across the country. A lot of experience, a very impressive, I think, list of experience. And they're local. They're based in Brentwood. So we've had conversations with them. I think if you look at the summary and the scope of work, which is behind tab 3 in your packets, you'll see that the assessment that they do is quite comprehensive. It includes architectural, major systems, mechanical, plumbing, engineering, entertainment, food and service concessions. The assessment will also look at vertical transport, the elevators and escalators, roofing, and more. So it is, it's very comprehensive. It's going to be very thorough. And it also includes a CapEx matrix, which I think will be really important as we look at budgeting and just how we identify and as we make decisions regarding capital. Then again, we talked some more, and the reality is, you know, both of our facilities are 20 years old. We started to look at Bridgestone Arena and thought, you know, it really makes a lot of sense to include that facility as well. And since Commonwealth Development Group is currently engaged as our project manager for the stadium, we thought let's bring them in to manage this piece as well. Venue Solutions Group would function as the subcontractor for Commonwealth Development Group under the current Metro contract. And we've had conversations with Jeff Gossage, who's the director of procurement. He has confirmed that Metro's contract does allow for a subcontractor. The cost of the subcontract is going to be $355,000. When you look at the allocation, since there are two facilities involved, it's going to be 53% for Nissan Stadium and then 47% for Bridgestone Arena. We also going to be adding an additional $45,000, which would really just will add to the overall project cost for the time and services of our project manager, and then also contingencies. So we always want to build in some contingencies there. So that will bring the total project cost to about $400,000. So the project will be funded in two ways: from available proceeds from the stadium loan. So we had some money left over from the replacement of the seats, so we'll use that in order to fund the portion that's related to the stadium. And then there's also some arena surplus revenue that will be used for the arena study.
Where is that surplus revenue? Like, what is that, the arena surplus revenue?
Bob Lackey is here, and I think she could speak to the fund, I believe. I don't know if he's, oh, back in the,
Like, we have a surplus revenue.
You were hiding, Bob.
he was hiding.
I must do a better job. Members of the authority, it's certainly wonderful to be with you here today. The surplus revenues of the authority, many of you are new and probably don't realize there are a whole host of revenues that are generated from the arena that come into the city through sales tax revenues, seat surcharge revenues, and rental revenues from reserved areas of the authority. The Ford Ice Center pays rent. There's various revenues, sales tax from hockey, non-hockey. All of those revenues are pledged toward the payment of debt service. Those revenues come into our Arena Revenue Fund, but out of that Arena Revenue Fund, we have many obligations. First and foremost, we have to pay debt service on our Arena Revenue bonds. We have to pay debt service on the Ford Ice facility. Out of that also, we have a general fund appropriation that comes in there as well to assist. And we have many arena obligations. We have to pay the management fee to our partners who manage and run the Bridgestone Arena. We have to pay the obligation for our obligations, which we call our loss cap obligation, for those of you that were here in the beginning. And also we renewed our agreement in 2012 for our management agreement, for our operating agreement. That agreement, we have a loss cap, which is indexed by CPI. That comes out of all of those revenues as well. We have incentivized our partners at the Bridgestone based upon the number of events they bring in, the revenues they bring in, based on their bottom line. Their incentive fee is capped at $2.7 million. That is paid out of all these revenues as well. The bottom line is that any surplus revenues in excess of our total expenses, debt service, all these obligations is available. And there are some surplus revenues available. And from those surplus revenues, there are funds available to fund the arenas portion of this study. And that's where these funds would be coming from.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that addresses your question.
So you have a copy of the project schedule in your packets as well. The site reviews are being scheduled for November, and we hope to have final reports from the consultant in March. So we're looking at a 4-month process or so, and we will, of course, give updates as we can. And but by March, the end of the first quarter of next year, we expect to have a final report on the condition and needs of the facilities. Are there any questions?
I'll just comment if I can, and Dudley, I probably should have answered this, I should have talked about this last month when you asked, but I was in a meeting with Venue Solutions Group, and I was very impressed. I thought their presentation was great. I thought that they were very user-friendly. They gave you a priority list, and if you adjusted it, this list would automatically adjust with priorities that they set forth, so you had a lot of flexibility. And I was very impressed with them and their presentation, and wasn't able to find a whole lot of competition out there. So I probably should have said that last month, but I thought Venue Solutions Group was very good.
Yeah, no, thank you, Lisa, and thank you for sitting in on that meeting. Lisa, for those of you who don't know, is our liaison to Nissan Stadium, our board liaison.
Well, I don't have any questions. I do have a comment. I think this is an excellent idea. I think it's appropriate for us to go about this in an orderly way and to come up with appropriate budgeting, and I would move approval.
We have a motion to,
I think Bob has a,
All right, just had a clarification question, Micah. So the total fee on the facilities assessment, the $355,000, does that include the the 45,000 contingency? Or is that, I mean, is it embedded
the
in there,
355
or
is the 355 is the subcontract. So
Right.
that would be for VSG, and then the 45,000
On top.
is the total project,
Okay.
including the contingencies. And
thank you. Good question. I believe we have a motion, and just to clarify what the motion is, it's lengthy. A motion authorizing a resolution approving the utilization of the project management contract between Metro Government and Commonwealth Development Group for the engagement and performance of facility assessments for both Nissan Stadium and Bridgestone Arena. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, we will receive our official project management report from Commonwealth Development Group. Larry Adam and his team.
Well, good morning. Thank you. I'm Larry Adam, I'm President and CEO of Commonwealth Development, and your project manager. So soon we get these slides pulled up. We're going to be very brief because we know we got a long agenda this morning. The biggest headline is all the seats are replaced in the stadium. So
Congratulations.
there's a picture of them all in, and this would be the great example of cooperation between the Titans, the engineers, the seat manufacturers, and the installers, and us. So it's kind of fun. It's done, and we're well into the replacement and of expansion joints and sealants, and we're putting the top coating on the third level today, which will make it look better and cover up lots of little cracks and that sort of stuff. So we're in pretty good shape. The budget is in your packet. We are tracking well. As a follow-up to our conversation last month, we have about $1 million that we can apply to other problems that we have identified in the whole category of water, sealing, and so forth. We've had to engage the engineers. We just this week received their plans and recommendations, and between the Titans, the construction manager, and us, we're starting to price and prioritize those items right now, and we'll see how far we can get with that money. And by next month, I probably have a better understanding of just how far we can go. Moving on, Roxanne Bethune, last month you asked us to add some things to the DBE component, and she can just quickly highlight those for you.
Thank you. Good morning to the authority. You have in your packets, I believe, 2 slides as it relates to DBE. The first one you'll see actually looks like this, and pretty much what we did at the request of Member Bender is itemize what we were doing as it relates to the diversity businesses. And you'll notice that we have the prime contractors listed. Just under the prime contractors, you have their subcontractors. And if you look over to that middle column that says DBE earned to date, the bold number basically says what we have actually counted as far as the dollars spent with that particular vendor. And underneath it are the dollars that were spent with the DBE. And that kind of breaks it down to give you, and all of them are exactly the same. I'll just use that one as an example, and if you have any questions about it, you can definitely ask me. Currently, to date, we're at 26.19% diversity business participation. Just to give you an idea of the diversity businesses that we're working with, we have 5 small businesses, we have 4 minority businesses, and we have 1 woman-owned business. So when you flip over to that next chart, which is showing there, we actually have it also broken down at the request. You'll see on the side, as it relates to the colors that are on the pie chart, the percentages of dollars that actually went to those particular business groups. And that kind of concludes it. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe at this time, it's the Titans Nissan Stadium report.
Good morning, Board. And first of all, I want to say thank you. Well, welcome to Nissan Stadium. Bob Flynn with the Nissan Stadium and Tennessee Titans, but I want to welcome you here. And I also want to say thank you for the approval of the building assessment, because I think that's key for what this building looks like right now and where we're going with it. So I want to say thank you for that. I'm going to try to keep it brief for y'all. What we've done in the past since we last met, we've had a preseason game here, our second preseason game here. We held the John Merritt Classic here on the Saturday of Labor Day weekend, and then we had our opening game last Sunday versus the Minnesota Vikings. All 3 of those events went well. No major issues or anything like that. We got everybody in the building. Stewart's did a great job of getting people in and out of the parking lots. Pretty much everything went fine. Coming up, which we don't list here, next Sunday we have our second home NFL game. And then we go Beyonce. Then we have our soccer game on the 8th, which is 6 days after that. And we've got a plan for the turf change out there. And then after the New Zealand game or Mexico game, we have 3 more NFL games and a TSU game. So it's a busy 6 weeks, for the next 6 weeks, we'll have something in this building every weekend. So we're excited about having that. But, so far, the building's looking good. Hopefully y'all have gotten to see that, and I've got some improvement updates here. Our PSL Founders Wall, which is, it's kind of commonly called by our PSL holders as a Founding Fathers Wall. That is going to go up on the east, Gate 1 and Gate 6, and we've got the framework up right now. I'd love to show you afterwards, but I think you all have a meeting afterwards. But by the next game, the names, it's pretty much all our founding PSL holders will be up there. Suite renovations, we redid 27 suites. They look great. We're real thrilled with them. I'd love to show you that at some other time. Maybe it's scheduling a different day to bring you all around here. Our new signs for our partners, Monica mentioned how we have other partners in this building. We have TSU in this building, we have the Music City Bowl, and we consider CMA as a partner as well. We put up on the north and south scoreboards 3 of their logos on both ends, and they're backlit. It looked great. They were up for the TSU game, for their first TSU game, so they really look real good. I probably have a picture in here. There they are, 3 of them right there. So they look great at night. They light up nicely, and it's definitely an improvement of what we had before, which were just on the north. They were probably $500, boards that were put on the back of the north scoreboard. These things cost quite a bit more than that, which I believe our ownership took care of that as a sign of they're our partners, and we want to make sure they're happy in here. Nissan Hall of Greats, we've got this on both, and a little plug for Bud Light, by the way. So on both on the east side and west side, we've created this Nissan Hall of Greats. It also includes these touch screens. We have 5 touch screens right there. So anybody that's made it and that's been on the Pro Bowl, you go up there, touch a name, it will bring up all their stats, and then you can touch it again, and it will show either game pictures or will show some videos. And so far, the kids have, I think it's going to be more kid-driven because people like the younger generation likes those things, and it's kind of neat to see them just go up there and just see about the older players that have come through here and have performed well. So we're excited about what but we're excited about what we've done so far. It looks good. The building, we got a lot of comments about just how clean the building looks, just how much better it looks. It's more inviting. It's warmer. The seats look great. Larry mentioned about 66,000 seats that went in. I think this first game we had 2 or 3 cup holder issues. That's it. When you consider 66,000 seats to come out with only a couple calls during the game, that just shows what a great job they did on this project. And we're trying to activate everything around this building to make it warmer and friendlier. And I think all these changes, the bathrooms, I always will bring it up. They look great. They've functioned well. So, but any questions from y'all? I want to keep it short and just want to answer anything you all have.
Any questions for Bob? Nope. Thank you.
Okay. Janine Kaufman.
Bob, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Janine Kaufman, Chief Financial Officer with the Tennessee Titans, and we'll briefly run through the financial overview. There really is not a lot of change since our last meeting, so I'm going to kind of go at a high level. However, if you guys have any questions, just stop me, and I'll be glad to answer anything. The ticket tax summary is broken out again between the $2 ticket tax and the $1 ticket tax. You have all this detail in your packs and should have been sent out, I think, last week. The current $2 fund is sitting at $787,000. And then if we move to the next slide, we have the dollar fund, and the dollar fund is the $15 million that Larry and his group have been managing and working with for the seat replacement and the expansion joints. And that's broken out as follows as well. And you can see we've paid out to date, from what we are showing, about $9.2 million. Again, all these funds are kept by Bob Lackey at Metro Finance. The ticket tax that we've been paid to date, we're showing we've put in total since the beginning of the ticket tax approximately $15.5 million, and we've broken that out below between the $2 and the $1 fund. And then the next slide is the ticket tax user fee information for the Titans. And if you'll remember, we pay that in 10 equal installments, and then as our games are played, we'll actually true that up. And so you can actually see here that there's two actual numbers for the two games that were played in August, the 8-13 game and the 8-20 game. And then down below, there's a total additional that was paid in for those of $20,697 for those two games. And so then at our next meeting, you guys will have actuals for the two September games that will roll into this as well. And that process has seemed to work really well with Bob. We've worked with Metro Finance kind of to make sure that this is paid in order that we can pay those bonds back. So that process seems to be going really well. So we've been really pleased, I think, with this reporting style. Next is the capital fund summary, and we currently have about $1.1 million sitting in that fund. We will set up a meeting in kind of late fall with the Sports Authority to do our kind of annual reimbursement request, so that will be coming shortly. And then this is a detail of the capital fund summary, and that way you can see everything that's kind of gone in and out of this fund. Again, this fund is housed at Metro, but we like to provide you those details. And then our unfiled reimbursement request, we're currently sitting at about $4.4 million receivable on our books, and then the casualty receivable is a little more than $6,000. And Walter Overton works really closely with Metro on that casualty. I'll pause there before I go into the CapEx detail, and I'll kind of run through kind of a high-level overview of changes that has happened to that document since we last met. But do y'all have any questions on any of the other user fee funds or CapEx fund? Yes, sir.
The total receivable is $4,477,848.85. Now, will that be reduced by the million that is currently in?
So what we'll do, Dudley, just to recap that, because I think that's a great point, is what we normally do annually is we'll go through the list that's been completed projects, and we will actually supply and sit down with Monica normally comes, and Bob Lackley normally attends that meeting, and we'll go through and put together a reimbursement request that will come out of that $1.1 million CapEx fund. And so we'll sit down, go through the requests. We actually look at each and every single invoice, even though they've been provided all of those invoices in a binder. We do it one by one by one, and Jeff Reinhardt will be at that meeting, and Bob, and so we can answer any questions on an invoice by invoice manner. Then what we'll do, I think last year, is we actually came before the Finance Committee of the Sports Authority and reviewed the request at that meeting as well, and then from there it came to the full board. And so that was the process we did last year.
Right, and the reimbursement, though, will be $1 million.
That's right, and it will reduce that 4.4.
Right, so the number will be, I guess, 3.4 after you.
After we get the, after we receive, we do the whole process, it's approved by the board, then that will reduce that receivable.
Okay.
That's correct. All right. Then I'm going to move quickly to the CapEx communication tool just to review at again, a high level. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. We had current invoices that came in for various projects, the tunnel non-slip coating, the bathroom renovation project. We received invoices on the ticket office renovation project, and the Manitou. We actually got an invoice for that. The stormwater pumping station and sanitary sewer pumping stations, those were invoices, and that was a new line item that was added, and it's on the completed list. The telecommunications room clean agent system, which was on the anticipated list, has been moved to the current list. We're finalizing that contract and hope to get that done. That was an insurance something that was brought up by Metro's insurance when they did a walkthrough of the building, and something we needed to add. We have some insulation throughout Nissan Stadium that has been damaged as a result of a lot of the leaks that had happened over the course of the last however many years, and also some of those drain pipes, insulation around those drain pipes. And so that project is a new project. It is on the current list as well. And then there was a new item on the current list, which was the antenna replacement, which really relates to our radio system that's here whenever on game day everybody is using the radios. And so we needed a antenna replacement on that. And all of those details have been provided to Monica and Margaret Darby at Metro with copies of the contracts and more detailed information on all of those projects as well. So do I have any questions on that? And if not, that concludes our presentation, and thank y'all so much. And I really do, to reiterate what Bob said, I hope we can schedule another time for you guys to come over and actually look at the suites before and after, because they look really amazing. To walk the concourses if you didn't make it to the game on Sunday. The stadium itself looks so great, and I think Bob and his team and Larry, they've really done an amazing job. So thank y'all so much.
Thanks, Janine. Next up, we actually have the Nashville Sounds, Doug will lead us off and not be the last on the agenda today.
Not back cleanup today.
But I think part of that bump up might be that he has some good news since his last, other than the performance of his team, he's actually engaged to be married. So
Yep.
good things are happening.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's not why I'm bumped up in the order, maybe.
Oh.
But thank you, appreciate that. I'm joined, Doug Scopel, Vice President of Operations for the Nashville Sounds, and I'm joined today by Adam Noose, our General Manager, to my left. Well, we've wrapped up our season since our last meeting. We were hoping we'd still be playing today, but the Sounds got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs on Sunday. Heartbreaking loss for the guys. They lost by 1 run and left the bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th with our best couple of hitters up. So that's baseball. That's what happens. But we finished the year really strong at the gate. Again, we drew over 500,000 fans for the second straight year, which, for perspective, in the Sounds world, that hadn't happened since 1982 and 1983 when the franchise pretty much had first started. So continued great support from the crowds, and we look forward to continuing that again next year. The team finished with the best record in the league. Our manager, Steve Scarsoni, was named PCL Manager of the Year, and our trainer, Brad LaRosa, was named Trainer of the Year in our league. We had a great record this year. We also had 201 player transactions throughout the year. So that is a lot of different guys coming in and out, as we've talked about throughout the year, and they were able to keep going, keep winning. And we should have another good team again next year. The AA team tonight plays to win their league championship for the 3rd straight year. So the A's farm system continues to produce, so we look forward to having continued success on and off the field. And just a reminder, we did make the playoffs for the first time since 2007, so just a really good all-around year for the Sounds. At our first playoff game, we invited out the Goodlettsville All-Star team. If you guys follow that, the Little Leaguers were the United States runner-up in the Little League World Series. Middle Tennessee's had a great history lately. I think between Goodlettsville and South Nashville, we've been in that like 4 of the last 6 years or something. But anyway, brought the kids out, had them run out to the bases with the Sounds players in the same positions, which is really cool for them to experience. Coming up, we've got a busy fall at the ballpark next weekend. We're hosting a Drink, Eat, Play Beer Fest, which we had last year. Excited about that. We've got the Albert Pujols Foundation Home Run Derby in a couple weeks, which I talked about at the last meeting. And we're also hosting Vanderbilt's Fall World Series at the end of October. That's an event they normally host at Hawkins Field on their own campus, but because they're doing renovations over there, their field's not available, so we're taking them in and hosting them. It's just inter-squad scrimmages, but just one more way that we can be good baseball partners in the city. So from a staff perspective, we're kind of recharging the batteries over the next few weeks, but then we hit October running and start to put our minds together and start planning the fun for next Sound season. So that's a quick recap from the Sounds. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Doug? No, thank you
Okay,
for that
thanks.
report. Next on our agenda, we have the Bridgestone Arena Populace Study discussion. I believe it was at the request of Margaret Bem to put this back on the agenda for this meeting. We had a great presentation at our last board meeting. However, there was a lot of information, and we just wanted to provide it again to see if, after additional review, if there were further questions. Margaret?
Yes, I don't have any further questions. When we were presented this very nice and good report last month, we hadn't seen the report, so we saw slides, and so I wasn't sure what the report said in addition to the slides, but in reviewing it, I don't think y'all left out anything in your presentation. And it is true, it's a high vision, as it says, the report, look at what could be done, and it's exciting. And I've gotten great feedback from the community about the report and excitement. Obviously, there's a lot of work still to be done, but I don't have any questions, but I'll leave it to anybody else if they do to ask Sean or anybody what they have to say.
Seeing no further discussion on the study at this time, our friends at Bridgestone Arena and Fordyce Center will give the Predators report.
Hi there, I'm David Kells with Bridgestone Arena and the Nashville Predators. Thank you for having us today. July was the first month of our fiscal year, and it was a great month to start that off. Anchored by the Beachbody and Barbershop conventions, we also hosted Louis C.K., 5 Seconds of Summer, Hillsong United, and G-Eazy. When all was said and done, we beat our monthly projection by over $200,000, and the arena showed a profit of $14,000 for the month. We're still growing strong on our summer renovations. Our 200 and 300 level seat installation is complete. By the end of this week, our next round of bathroom upgrades will be finished. We are renovating the South End retail store, which used to be just dedicated to Predators merchandise. We're flipping that to a more market type setup, so it can be used on every single event that we host, so we'll get a lot more opportunity, a lot more revenue out of that. We're also expanding the bars in the Fox Sports Tennessee zone and the Tito's area on the main concourses, and those are all currently in progress, and we're looking at upgrades to the Lexus Lounge, our all-inclusive zone, and the team locker rooms in the next couple of months. Looking ahead, we'll be hosting Brent Peterson's golf tournament and dinner next week on Monday and Tuesday. This will benefit the Predators Foundation and Peterson's for Parkinson's Foundation as well. We'll be celebrating Fordyce Center's second birthday on September 25th. We're going to have a large event out in Antioch. We'll have a public skate, a team scrimmage, autograph signing, and we'll have the Titans game on the big screen out there as well for everybody. We work with these great people every single day, so we know the folks who come to work at 501 Broadway and the great job they do, but every now and again we're lucky enough to get recognition outside of our four walls. Our EVP and CFO, Michelle Kennedy, was honored as Nashville Lifestyle's top women in business at a luncheon at the Skimmerhorn late last month, so we're always happy to have Michelle be honored and be part of our team. Single game ticket sales went on sale in August. Through the first weekend of sales, we were up more than 50% higher than any previous record we'd had on single game ticket sales throughout the history of the franchise. So that was a big sales weekend for us. We announced our full television schedule yesterday. All 82 regular season games will be broadcast for everybody to watch, and that's the second year in a row that we've had every single game on television. On the team side of things, the big news last week was Mike Fisher being named our captain. He's a huge leader, in the locker room and on the ice and throughout the community. We had an event last week, and it was neat to see the emotion of him. He's a veteran player. He's done a bunch of things, but throughout his career, he's never been a captain before. So he was honored, and you could see truly appreciated the ceremony and the dedication there. On the ice, rookie camp starts today out at Centennial, so if you got free time during the afternoon, feel free to pop out there. These are the 18-plus-year-olds who are just first starting out in the NHL system, so they'll do some practices today and tomorrow, go down to Florida for a tournament. Then the veterans are on the ice starting next week, and with that practice out at Fordyce Center. And finally, hockey officially gets underway with the World Cup of Hockey on Saturday. We have plenty of good representation out through that as well. Coach Phil Housley will be behind the bench for Team USA. Roman Josi is with Team Europe. Philip Forsberg and Matthias Ekholm are with Team Sweden. And Pekka Rinne is with Team Finland. And like I said, those games start this weekend and run through October. Any questions for us?
Thank you, David. Any questions?
All right. Thank you all much.
Thank you. Excellent. That essentially concludes our.
Is Kyle going to give a financial report?
I don't see Kyle here. Is Kyle available?
No, Kyle's not here. David, were you going to give the financials?
Kyle's on vacation.
sorry, that was the start of the report, the, how we beat projections by 200,000 and posted a profit of 14. So, yeah.
All right.
Any questions on the backup?
And also in our board packet, we have the information that Kyle provides to the board the last couple of months as well. Are there any additional questions for this? All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Excellent. We really appreciate everyone making time today. At the conclusion of our meeting, if the board could stick around, we do have a HR training that Metro HR is going to provide for us. But thank you all so much for your attendance today, and we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. At this time, is there any further business? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, we're adjourned.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can I say one thing? I want to thank Chuck because you see we're small but mighty today. And Chuck was on a flight this morning trying to get back to Nashville to make sure that we had a quorum. And so I want to say thank you for that. I know you've had an early morning. And then also thank you, congratulations again to Michelle Kennedy and Lisa Howe, who also was honored by Nashville Lifestyles too.
Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.